This proved that the government was going for herd immunity.
So even at that point, George, February 2020, the government predicting the NHS could be overwhelmed. So that was, that's even several weeks before the first lockdown.
Yeah, and then this was completely new. We had no idea that the ministers had actually gone through an actual sort of pandemic exercise where they thought they kind of projected themselves forward into the end of April and imagined what the situation would be. And what this made clear was that they knew the appalling scenario that they were facing, which made some of the other revelations that emerged subsequently even more shocking, I suppose.
There's the picture emerging, this sort of disconnect between the NHS is effed and modelling even in February saying it'll be the survival of the fittest because the health service won't be able to cope, alongside Boris Johnson offering to be injected with COVID on telly.
Yeah, so the injection on telly was before the first wave, but as we just heard, ministers knew that the NHS was likely to be effed in any scenario, and so that's quite extraordinary in itself. What then happened is we had the first wave, and hospitals were overwhelmed in exactly the way that had been predicted, and which so thousands of people died without the care they needed. We spoke to doctors and nurses who described having to leave old people out of intensive care so they couldn't get the ventilators they needed, and even leaving people outside hospital completely, and thousands died in their own homes without any hospital care at all. So then for Boris to then as a second wave was building up and the scientists were urging them not to make the same mistake again, he was again being dismissive of it, despite, I mean, he'd been told about the appalling reality of what had occurred in hospitals in the first wave, yet he was dismissing, and obviously he himself had almost died from the virus.
Exactly, been really ill as well. I mean, George, it struck me that actually he was the one who's best managed to deal with these questions of private messages coming out. You say things in the heat of a moment with an email exchange or a WhatsApp exchange, cold light of day, it looks bad, he apologised, it was a daft thing to have said.
Yeah, but I mean, the key thing here is that this proved that the government was going for herd immunity before they opted to lock down, which I'm not sure you remember, but they absolutely denied that over and over again in that first wave. So it shows that they were clearly lying at the time.